Welcome to 3 on the Ones and Twos with your hosts, Tom, Cassy, and James. Just 3 old friends talking about their favorite records. Think of it as the coolest book club for music nerds.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year
to you.
So beautiful. Wonderful smiles. Great way to end the year. Even better way to start the year.
Yes.
Welcome to 3 on the Ones and Twos.
Welcome to 3 on the Ones and Twos. Thank you to the Earl. We're in East Atlanta Village tonight. And the whole idea of the show has been so simple from the beginning. But I love when our smiles get bigger and we do these little bit of changes. But then some magic happens. Because the whole real idea is just love and music, friendship and love of music. And everyone has brought some really great things to the table. I want to pass the mic to Cassy and let her do her intro because we have a wonderful special guest from
California.
Oh, I know. We talked about it. I was going to say the West Coast, but we're going to get back.
The best coast.
Listen, let's get into it.
All right. Well, I'm very excited today to have a friend of mine from California.
She's so cool. I feel like we met before.
From high school.
Yeah.
Joana Fernandes.
Yay!
She's in town, picked an incredible record, and this is going to be really nostalgic for me because there's so much of my life that you guys are a part of, or that you know of, because we've known each other for so long. But there's not a lot that I haven't really.
This is from your deep, dark past.
Right. Like my teenage years, high school. It's and there's not since I went to high school in California, I don't have a chance to really talk about it a lot. Or I'll throw a little story in here or there, but there's not anybody that really gets it, right?
Right.
So it's awesome to have you.
Yeah.
I'm like so stoked about
the
this.
thing is because I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
Already. So the thing is, we've known each other now half our lives.
I mean, right.
And so the things that we've introduced to each other, we've shared together, including friendships and loves and stuff, is so wonderful. But then to meet someone that you had a life before that is really cool. And then sometimes when we bring these guests or these, the guests and their picks, we get excited. Sometimes we scream, sometimes we kick, and we get excited about it. So what's going on? What do you got for us?
Well, what record did you pick, Joanna?
So I picked INXS's Kick. It's one of those albums for me that if I was on a desert island and I had to pick a few albums, tapes, CDs, this would be one of them because to me, you get all the feels from happy to sad to dancing. It's all in there.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure it's a special record for you, like from a special time in your life, obviously.
I mean, this
Everybody
time
was
of life.
I'm not saying how old you are, but for how old we are.
Oh, we're 24, you guys.
Yes.
Totally.
We are, we're not
So
even
you were
27
You were
yet.
20,
I was 24. I'm 24 now, and I was.
That was 24 then.
So
And I was 15 then.
Yeah.
It just time is different for me.
Well, the thing is,
and you.
The thing that makes sense is
it's relativity.
Time is relative.
I love going down these memory lanes, and we talk about it. That's one of the best things about the show is. So I saw this show at Madison Square Garden in 1989 on the Kick Tour with Ziggy Marley opening up.
I read about that when I was researching this.
People, the place went nuts. They brought out INXS and they.
But it was crazy because didn't Guns N' Roses also played that show, didn't they? No.
Not the show that I took. Maybe they were on the campus.
They were on part of the tour because a lot of times they would do like East Coast, West Coast.
Oh, maybe. I thought that there was
INXS were enough for me. Me and my girlfriend at the time went and snuck 2-liter bottles of Coke that we emptied half of it and poured rum in her pocketbook. How they didn't check that, I have no idea. But we're in Madison Square Garden drinking.
It was the 80s in New York.
You could get away with so much more in the 80s.
80s in New York,
really was.
Everyone was on Coke.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
I know.
Coke
I know the 80s in California.
No, you're on.
A lot of people were on Coke.
Probably a lot of people were on Coke.
And didn't get ID'd.
There's a reason why I had a friend named Indica, and
So,
who was named
where were
Indica.
you? And you were in California. Like, where were you when this record came out? And then, tell me some songs.
Or maybe the first, what do you remember around the first time you heard anything off of this, or
yes, So my friends and I, including Cassy, we major alternative people.
For sure.
Always wore all black, except I was a rocker.
You were a bit more of a rocker,
I
right?
was a
see
total
that. I could
rocker.
see
I had
that.
the first Slayer Root of All Evil shirt on at high school. But we all loved INXS from Shabu Shaba.
I love that.
Okay, now that one, yeah, because that one was like more of like, it was so alternative, and I really didn't get into that one until I was a good bit older. You know, when like not a good bit older, but like say maybe my later teens, early 20s, when I kind of like you kind of go back. And, you know, start learning things previous from, like, artists that are out now.
Yeah.
And, like, that is so... I mean, especially, like, you go 80s night dancing anywhere, you're going to hear. You're going to hear those songs. And
Dream of White Girl.
Original Sin.
Original Sin,
Yeah.
Lovely. And the
produced by Niles Rodgers, right?
Yep.
Produced by Niles
I
Rodgers.
didn't know that. But I can see that because everything's real dancey.
He kind of really, you kind of really changed their sound by doing that. I mean, they kind of then went in a different direction than just that... kind of new wave thing that a lot of people were kind of doing at the time. They did
Now,
very well.
and if Need You Tonight didn't get as much MTV play as it did,
Exposure.
and didn't get as big as it did, you probably would love it more because it has everything you want in a song. It's a wonderful song.
Yeah.
Need You Tonight. Yeah. Well, Need You Tonight. That's the one that that made this album. I mean, really, I think that was their number one. Well, I mean, they have a whole bunch of like top tens. I think they have like 4 top tens.
They were all
Never Tear Us
bangers.
Apart's a great love song. Calling All Nations is an amazing song. Guns in the Sky, New Sensation, Devil Inside.
Mystify.
Actually, the whole.
Can I just get this off? Just get the bad stuff out of the way right away. I like Tiny Daggers is a fucking train wreck. I'm sorry, I never want to hear that again.
That's how I feel about Guns in the Sky.
Really?
Yeah.
I love
I
Guns
don't.
in the Sky.
Okay, Guns in the Sky. The only thing I don't like, and it's probably the same reason for Tiny Daggers. It's so that 80s where it's like it starts with a so it's like those two moments.
The grunting. How's it go?
That was disgusting. Well, see, Never Tear Us Apart is a song that if I'm driving right now and it's on, I'm blasting it.
Right.
And I would say the same for...
that was supposed to be a piano song.
They did the Bob Dylan thing in the video for me,
Right.
which we love that, or I love that.
No, I definitely love that. That I think is one of the most special moments.
And
on
I love Calling All Nations.
Calling All Nations, I was kind of iffy about it first, because I never owned this. So
I had it on tape.
I never owned it. So
the tape.
I knew
I own the tape.
Yeah, we all had the tape.
Well, yeah, it was like you're not gonna have like the CD or whatever because it's like you didn't have that. Like
yeah,
everything,
CD
like the
players
tape,
also in
you're like.
Yeah.
James just got a
Get out
CD
the
player.
pencil.
James just got it. But I think the most special moment on here for me, and it's really, really beautiful, is how those two blend into each other.
So that's how they did it when they were recording.
Well, the reason they did that was because I think when they were so first. I think it might have been.
So I was reading they did Need You Tonight, and then the guitar player just went right into Mediate.
Yeah,
and so
but
they decided to record it that way.
I think that what it was doing was that was playing in the background while they were working on Mediate, and then they kind of noticed that they synced up well. Like they kind of.
It ends on one chord and it starts on the next one. So
I always thought of it because of the video. I always thought of it as like, oh, this is just one song.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah,
It's-
they go so well together. But the beautiful thing is, it's like they go so well together, but they are so different. Like if they didn't do that, you wouldn't think, oh, this is just a continuation of the same song, because they are so different, but they go so well, like
But it also
seamlessly that it
doesn't
does
sound
seem
like
like
a real
one.
legitimate song. As long as it is, it doesn't sound like a real legitimate song because it doesn't have like verse chorus.
It's
But I
like
think-
Derek and the Dominoes song.
Is it like
Well, what's that
Exactly.
Derek and the Dominoes song that's in like every gangster movie?
Okay,
Layla?
Layla.
Yeah. It's
That's
like that.
Yeah, because it's in Goodfellas. It's
Yeah.
when all the bodies, they start finding all the bodies in the
Clapton,
freezers and in the freezer and all that. Yeah. What are your, like, obviously this is a very important record to you.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's, it's
you're
one of the
you're lighting up.
few albums you would bring with you.
So my
To the end of the
absolute favorite song on here is Wildlife. Like,
Okay.
Which I don't know it's not really a single.
Right.
was
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
But it's a favorite
but
of yours.
I love that song. Everything about it. It's dancey. You can sing it in the car with all the windows down.
Do you
It's
like
fantastic.
put it on? Like you're like,
On
I need to hear
repeat.
this now.
Is this something you wear, like as you're putting on makeup to go on a Saturday night, you're like, I'm looking wild tonight?
No.
Listen to Wild.
Yeah. I'm gonna get wild.
Because that's what I'm going to do next
Just
Saturday.
rock it.
You're gonna put on your
That's what
makeup.
I'm doing
You're gonna
this
put on your
weekend.
makeup, and
That's
you're
what
gonna
I'm
get
doing
that
this
because you're like,
weekend, Yes.
You can have a wild life.
Yeah, no, because James is right. Because I actually like all of them, to be honest with you, but it isn't a single. Like, it's definitely like one of the least known songs on the record.
It's almost like the B-side, one of the B-sides
Very,
for this.
yeah.
But yeah, no, that is honestly my favorite song off this entire album.
It's the one you like, kind of gravitated like at that age. Was it always your favorite song?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
which I always think
So-
is so wonderful, and that's
yeah.
like that, right?
That's
Yeah.
great.
It is evolved.
I grew into that one, but I think it was probably New Sensation.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one I really can get behind, and I can get behind that one for some like like all these songs are really really great. I never owned this, but we can get into that a little bit later. But all these songs are really really great. But that's one that like I don't know. There's something about it that really
Well, it has that
gets
it
you
has
know
that-
like it gets you
It
like
has that formula of all the other songs that you like in it.
Right.
But times
Yes.
10. Like,
It's
overproduced.
amazing
like,
pop
produced-
song.
Yes,
Exactly,
I think it's just
yeah.
like I noticed that one you put it on, all of them make you shake your ass, but that one really like like you're
Yeah.
moving because it just
Yeah,
really
and
does
it's-
something to you, and it's got this
it's
flow
encouraging.
that's just like it's energetic and it's exciting. I think. Do you know that this record almost wasn't made? Do you know that? No. Do you know that the people at Atlantic like hated
it.
and they
That's
offered
right.
They offered, I think, their manager $1 million to go back to Australia, start again, and they're like, and they found some alter.
So
Could you
insane.
imagine what a fucking idiot is going to do
Clearly
that,
men
right?
who've never played in bands before, just wearing suits, who just think about money.
Right.
Which, how they don't hear money hearing the
I mean,
songs
how do
is
you not?
insane.
Because
Well,
this was
so many
this,
of those types of stories.
This was
Yeah,
certified.
exactly.
in the world.
This was
you know.
certified platinum in 2 months. In the U.S. in 2 months. That means it sold 1 million copies within 2 months.
Oh, big time, yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, I mean, so you think about that year.
We're going to talk about 1987.
Yeah, I was going to say 1987.
I was in 7th grade.
1987, basically. I think, like, maybe
I gotta
this,
do some Googling.
INXS and Guns N' Roses were the biggest thing on MTV, right?
Do you? Okay, so when I found out this came out, and so
I think we're still doing pretty good.
87 was the year that I moved from that I moved from Wisconsin to Northern California. So it
Yes,
was
San
my first
Francisco.
year.
You guys-
No, it was Novato. It's in Marin County.
So
it's right across
it's
the.
a suburb. It's
It's
like
a
the
suburb.
Westchester of San Francisco.
Okay.
I don't
Did
know
you
what
guys
West.
meet
I don't know what that means,
Did you guys
but
meet
that's
right
okay.
away?
I don't think we met right away. But did you go to Novato or did you go to San Marin?
Novato.
You went to Novato.
Yeah.
Remember she was wearing that Slayer shirt?
No, because honestly, all I did was sleep through school and like you know.
I remember Cassy got into a car accident and she was.
Oh my God, that's such a shocker, isn't it?
She
I've,
was
I've known Cassy
she
25
was
years, and I've been in
on
5 car
drugs.
accidents with her.
I'm really bad at
And
it.
she talked her way out of the whole thing.
Yeah, she's
and
always
everybody,
done that.
everyone jumped in the car and like left, and she like scolded whoever she got into an accident with.
So some things
Oh my
really,
gosh.
you really can't teach an old dog new tricks. You've been doing
So-
this. You've been
This
doing
does
for
sound really
40
familiar,
you've been doing
doesn't
this for
it?
30
So
years.
I pulled up the albums that came out in 1987.
Here we go.
Prince is Sign of the Times.
It's Prince, Sign of the Times, Joshua Tree, Appetite for Destruction, Strange Ways, Here We Come, Faith,
Wow.
Hysteria, Document, Tunnel of Love by Bruce Springsteen, Sonic
Jackson,
Youth
Bad.
Sisters, Bad, Music for the Masses, which was my first arena concert.
And Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me was huge too.
Did I go? I went to that one too, I
Man,
believe.
That's a heavy year. That's
what?
There's
some strong competition for
that's
INXS
like
right
10,
there.
That's like 10 big bands and 10 big albums.
Sinead
legendary-
O'Connor, The Lion and the Cobra. Wow.
I just-
Midnight Oil, Anthrax.
I remember that I went to. So I had moved, and so
That's a lot of good.
so the first
Man.
So anyway, this came out in October, and the first formal dance that I had ever gone to in high school was homecoming of '87, and I still have pictures of me in my little bubble skirt.
Yeah.
So-
And actually,
Yeah, my little
and
bubbles.
actually, I have to say,
Nice.
I
We're gonna
I know
put that
for a
up
fact
for
I didn't
everyone
see
to
that
see,
show
yeah.
in '89. That makes no sense. I did see that show in
In
'87.
'87, right.
So I apologize.
Well, they did
to
tour
my
for a
date,
while, though.
Allison, as well. If you're
She's like,
watching,
"You don't remember the
you know,
date? You don't
she's
remember-"
like, but she did bring rum, 2-liter bottles of rum.
That's-
But it was the summer of '87, and it was Ziggy Marley.
So before we start going completely off the rails, do we need to talk about Michael Hutchins?
Yeah.
And
good
the
What the
intense
casting?
sex symbol,
yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Well, he was such a beautiful dude.
the heat the guy brought off, also the amazing talent, the
Yes.
front man.
Great frontman,
Absolutely.
great singer, great
I mean,
lyrics. Yeah.
And
What
and
a
his range.
package.
Oh,
Is there
Totally.
is there a better package of a frontman? I
David
think he's like
Bowie.
one of the last greats. I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah,
as far as, like,
I remember being
the
young.
big frontman of music.
I remember being young and being very, very much diving into the life that I have now, which is mostly consumed by music, and hearing the only thing that came close as comparisons was Jim Morrison to him.
so I remember seeing Mike INXS in '94 with Material Issue.
Yeah.
And I felt the minute he walked into the arena, you knew he was there. Like, he had that much presence. And the only other person who I ever saw live who had that same type of presence was David Bowie.
I've never seen David Bowie live, and
think
that
of the
pisses me
greats.
off.
I just
Like,
about cried when I
He
saw
is
that.
like the last of
Yeah.
the greats.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. It's
Yeah.
like the person who has that preference, like an Elvis, like a David Bowie, like a Jim Morrison.
Right, and if someone can do that, some people have been lucky to do it in like
have the-
these small rooms, but
put out the
in
heat.
an arena,
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
is those are big shoes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that's
It was amazing. It was like, you just knew he was there.
he was there,
He's there.
his presence
His
was
presence
felt.
just started.
I feel like he is. If I knew, not say, we know talented people, but if I was a member of INXS, if I was the drummer of INXS, and Michael Hutchins was in my band, I would just follow him wherever he went, because you
Right.
knew he would be.
You know,
Just lasso that star and
the
go
most
as far as you can.
One of the interesting things about them is like, so they're a six-piece, right? Because
Three brothers.
but three of them are brothers. Three of them are related, and they were for a little bit called the Ferris brothers
Yeah.
because their last name is Ferris, and Andrew Ferris and Michael Hutchins wrote all Michael Hutchins wrote all the lyrics, and Andrew Ferris. Well, I think Michael Hutchins even like helped with some of the music because Andrew Ferris will say he wasn't a musician, so he'd have to kind of like sing or hum and use his voice to kind of describe what he was trying to go for.
and then they would
in the
translate the
song.
chords and stuff.
One of the
yeah.
things I think is most interesting is that his voice is so dynamic that and so many of these songs, like there's a couple of these songs, you know he's singing, but he sounds completely different. I mean, he can purr, he can croon, he can
Right.
like belt it. I mean, he can.
It's a full
he can,
package.
I mean,
And he also
seriously.
can do. He also can do. Yeah, you know, which we don't know.
No.
That's our least favorite part of the record. I think it's. I love that you picked it, and when you picked it, I was like, really, just because it's almost so obvious, because it is this great record, that it's not one that I think of, you know. But because of this, and because of you picking it, and because of the show, I went and listened to it a few times. You know?
And you were like?
Yeah, and I was like, well, it's exactly what you made me do. I started dancing, and I was smiling.
Right.
And then do you think about him and his life, and things aren't always what they seem, and people are complicated, and he also gets sad. You know, it's wonderful.
For me, I had just moved to California, and I think that once I moved to Northern California, it's a completely different place. And we were talking, like when we kind of had to cut for a second, and our high school was idyllic and incredible, and it didn't matter how strange you were going to find so many people. And if you couldn't find them at high school, you would just go down to this coffee shop, maybe 15 minutes down the road, and so it's called Cafe Nouveau, and you had Vespas lined up front, and inside everybody wore all black, you had like the
Bomber
scooter kids,
jackets.
you had the scooter kids, you had the goth kids, and
I'm like picturing the Fine Young Cannibals video.
Pretty much. That was it.
It was an incredible, idyllic. So when I moved,
I'm
I
thinking
think
Pretty
that,
in Pink soundtrack.
and you know what? We were talking about that. We were talking about how it was
high
so
school.
pretty in pink. I mean, especially since it's a really rich county, and my mom was in the military, so we lived in the military housing, and a lot of times I'd be like, I don't want this person.
So
to
you
know
live on
anything
the wrong
about
side of the
them."
tracks,
I did
Cassy.
live.
And I got news for you, Cassy. You don't have to tell me. I could have guessed that you lived on the wrong side of the tracks.
She lived on base, so it was.
Well, it
different
wasn't
for
on
her.
base. It was the housing that was off base,
oh.
off of I think it was Ignacio or
Yeah.
something, where it's like, those are the ones.
Those
So
are all
they,
McMansions now that are like 1.7
I know, well, because they
million.
tore all those down. Like
crazy.
Greg and I, so the last time we were out there, Greg and I went out to Northern California and went to Navarre Lovato and all that, because we went out to see the Specials, because Terry Hall had, joined back up with the Specials.
Rest in peace, Terry Hall.
Rest in peace, Terry Hall.
So I would say my only problem with this record, and it has nothing to do with the performance or the songs, because they're all awesome. And like I said, they put me in this really wonderful, melancholy, awesome, nostalgic, sentimental place,
Sure.
But I'd say it's right around that time. That's when they were doing this production that I didn't like. Like the drums.
Yes.
Is this the Niles Rodgers?
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking about Like a Virgin. We're talking about
all the big sounds.
Duran.
It just seemed like I almost think if you can go back and remix it and give it like the garage treatment, I would love to hear
Like
that.
make it grittier.
That version of this album.
Grittier, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
It's super slick.
What
I
I was saying about moving to California
masterful pop
was,
record.
I think that the reason that I never owned this, and I didn't really get into it like super at the time. Obviously, I knew all that. They're all
the hits.
all the
Always
hits,
playing.
and it was just it dominated the airwaves, right? But I don't think I really got into it because I came from this very small place, and then I went to this place where you're allowed to like whatever, and so I was hearing like the Jesus and Mary Chain for the first time. I was hearing, it's like, in Wisconsin, I had heard, or because the Violent Femmes are from Milwaukee, so I had heard them, and I think I had heard of the Dead Kennedys because one of my friends' older brothers listened to them.
You're so lucky, both of you, for that, really.
But to live in California and be able to find so many people that understood me, I think that I intentionally, so I am going to bring this up. I am going to bring up so one of the things was I had this, if the guys on the water polo team liked it, I was kind of like, meh. And I was
hear
like,
what you're saying. I hear
Too
what you're
mainstream.
do you hear what I'm saying? Because I was afraid that you guys were going to say, what's a water polo team?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
That happened to me too, though, with even a band like Nirvana, because I really liked Mudhoney and I liked Seattle bands, and I didn't really listen to Nirvana, but by the time I started hearing them, it was already too late because they became the most popular band of the world.
Yeah.
And I can see how that can kind of ruin INXS. I wanted to mention that I have vivid memories of seeing Devil Inside video about to go to school in 7th grade, and the skating in it made me want to skate. That and Police Academy 3, the skate scene in Police Academy 3 that was filmed by the Bones Brigade and Stacey Peralta.
I love it.
Both of those made me want to start skating. And so that was a very important thing. And I owned the tape after that. And I love the hits of it. I hadn't listened to it, honestly, since I was in probably that age.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't, buy the album later on or anything.
Yeah, I think it's more...
So it was funny to listen to all the other songs, but... It's a massive album.
I mean,
the hits.
Tremendous.
I mean, it's
like a Madonna album with all the hits.
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you know that Need You Tonight? I think that that almost wasn't on the album. I don't know if it was I think it might have been the producer was like, we need a hit.
Idiots.
So no. I mean, no. The producer was like, we need a hit. So they left. And him and Andrew Ferris went to Hong Kong or something. But as Andrew Ferris was getting in the taxi to go to Hong Kong to write this hit, he thought of the riff, and then he went. And that was he's like, hold on a second, I forgot something. He went back upstairs and spent an hour, just kind of recording that before he left to go to Hong Kong.
I love that. That's like Under Pressure was written by accident. The bass player,
seriously?
Queen was jamming, and he goes doom doom doom, and next thing you know, they get Freddie Mercury and David Bowie in there, and it's like, are you kidding me? This happened by accident?
Oh, that's
While
insane.
someone was chewing bubble gum, you know what I mean?
That's insane.
So
It's the
let's
best.
fast forward to the 2000s when they had a TV show. When
What? Yes. To find
Did any of you watch it?
No.
I remembered it, but I don't think I ever watched any episodes.
It was, to me, it was interesting, and then I subsequently
And then sacrilegious.
saw the concert. Yeah, because they picked someone, they found
J.D.
someone
Fortune
to take over for Michael Hutchence, and the whole process was fantastic to watch. I loved.
Oh, so you liked it?
Behind the
I
curtain.
loved all the behind the curtain stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And then they picked J.D. Fortune, and
A
I saw
Canadian guy.
Yeah, and I saw it, and it was really interesting because it was a total gun for hire, what happened in Judas Priest after
Rob left.
Rob left. And
Okay.
It was, and that
But
concert
also
was good.
with every frontman
Yeah.
in Van Halen, in Iron Maiden, in Journey.
And everyone
you
was
had to
doing,
make it
and that
around.
was the beginning of like American Idol, all these reality
Right,
shows.
right.
They were
Yeah.
like, I'm sure we can do this. Let's just do
Yeah.
this. Yeah, I understand it.
What was your opinion then of the?
My opinion
think
was
he did
good
okay?
for them to try and do it because
Yeah.
yeah, I think that they still needed to go on. Just he passed away, like many
Yeah.
great
I think it's-
musicians,
I think-
in a tragic way.
Well, yeah, I mean,
in an unfortunate way.
he committed suicide. It's like I know that there were rumors out there from Geldof's like ex because they
Yeah.
about whatever, but that was proved
And
false.
Geldof.
And well, but that was proven by the coroner. He's like, there's really no evidence for that, but he was very. So I guess when he was, I think maybe with Helena Christensen, because he dated all the supermodels.
Of course, because he's
because
Michael
he's-
Hutchins.
I mean,
I mean,
Yeah.
Michael
And he's-
Hutchins.
He-
Hello.
and he
beautiful,
was
talented
Alien.
so
Yeah.
talented.
Beautiful
Amazing
He was an
voice.
actor. Besides,
Love-
I mean, it wasn't just a pretty face because it's like he wrote. I mean, he
Yeah, but
really
he
was
was
an incredibly
full
talented.
package.
Right,
Full
right.
package.
And so, but they were somewhere. I think I don't know, like a taxi driver tried to get through and they didn't move, so there's an altercation, and so I guess the taxi driver like hit him and he fell and he hit his head and he ended up losing pretty much all of his taste and smell, and he had because he had brain damage. He got
Wow.
like slight brain damage from it, and they said that he had mood swings and was aggressive like every now and then because of that, and had depression because it
Sure.
messed with
Altered
him.
him.
Yeah,
That's
which
terrible.
is like that's so sad. And then that
Yeah.
with like him not being able to like see his kid when he really wanted to see his kid, and
That's heartbreaking.
that's what they say really,
rough.
and it's incredible, and it kind of goes to show that like even when people have everything or they have
Yeah.
seen
On-
that
on
you still
paper,
need to
yeah.
people like still need to
Have that
be
empathy.
aware that it doesn't necessarily mean that
Oh,
everybody's
yeah.
always in a good place just because.
I guess he and Bono were pretty much best friends.
Yeah, they were
And
really
I've
close.
read many interviews with Bono, and they were all beautiful and heartfelt, and he just said the kindest things about.
Did he? I believe that you two wrote that song. What is that? Stuck in the Moment. I think that it
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
partly inspired by him, right?
You know,
I think
when
so.
when he passed away, he was working on a solo album with Andy Gill.
Oh,
from
really?
Gang of Four.
Gang of Four, yeah.
The guitar player from Gang of Four.
Really?
Which
I
I
did
would
not
have
know
loved
that.
to have
Me
heard.
too.
That would have been cool.
The Andy Gill, Michael Hutchins.
Well, I like the
Right.
Max Q stuff he did too.
But I think they didn't even
So
finish.
much cool stuff
They had
could
all
have
this
come
stuff
out,
worked
yeah.
on, like kind of demoed. But then Bono came after he passed away. Bono came and finished. So the only song you can hear out of it is actually Bono singing his
Wow,
stuff.
wow.
But it's very tragic because
Yeah, totally. What a heart.
I'm sure he would have had an amazing career, and it's.
I mean,
sad.
Continued, yeah.
was already-
Continued, yeah, totally. Yeah.
I do want to
yeah.
say that I want to mention that Never Tear Us Apart is like the closest to a sort of Otis Redding level.
Yeah, totally.
And that was supposed
I've been
to be-
loving you too long, like soul.
What a beautiful
Yeah,
soul
I mean, it's an
song.
incredible song. It was supposed to
It's
just be a
unbelievable.
piano song, and then
Yeah.
I believe it was, I don't know if it was the producer or their manager that.
And the
wanted to add
video
that.
with all the birds and doves flying, there's something so
yeah.
so
It's
gorgeous,
beautiful.
yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean,
So I
think
wanted to definitely express that.
Yeah, I'm
that
glad you
song
did
is
that.
one of the all-time ballads.
Yeah.
Like one of those that if Otis Redding was still alive, he would probably have covered it.
It's true,
Or
yeah.
something. He would have.
Yeah. Because it's a
like I said,
beautiful
like, I've
pop,
been loving
it's a
you too
soul
long,
song, it's a
you know,
pop song, and it hits
Speaking
all the
of
right
covers,
things.
It's amazing.
Speaking of covers, the cover on here, the Loved One, that's the only cover that they've ever done and put on a studio that they've put on a studio
yeah.
album,
Yeah.
and I think that's really incredible too. I mean, they still managed to put their stamp on it, like
Right.
it still has
the mark
their
of a good
feel.
band,
Yeah, and my favorite thing about us when we do the show is like anytime you're in a book club, you read a book and then you discuss it, and then you go back and you look at your notes and stuff. So like myself and Cassy and James text or call, and I'll listen to it, but I'm super excited about tomorrow, putting in my headphones while I'm working, listening to the album again, and I'll be listening through Joanna's ears and
Right,
eyes and brain and
right.
heart. So high five on that.
That is
you
fun.
know, it's really cool.
It is
you know.
cool.
And it's because music is, that's why we do this. Music is magic.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky, you know.
Feeds the soul.
I'm gonna gush one more time about high school and Joanna and like the amazing life that we had in high school.
Yeah, I'm so jealous, to be honest with you.
because you had other options, you had other picks, And I know that this one of your picks was B-52's Cosmic Thing, and this has nothing to do with Cosmic Thing, but it does have to do with B-52. So the first formal dance I ever went to, and I'm pretty sure and
they just played their last show ever 2 nights ago.
They did,
Fox,
yeah. You went to that tour, like the last one in California, yeah. So I had showed my pictures of my bubble skirt, and I know that the first time I ever heard Rock Lobster, and they pretty much played Rock Lobster at every dance that I did go to, and I remember being like, what the fuck? And like seeing everybody dance and how much everybody just danced and I'm like sitting there thinking everywhere I came from, if you played this for high school, they'd be like,
no, everyone was.
I mean, it's just and that's
totally.
kind of like the essence of the place. Like it's like we kind of
that would have been
embrace weirdness,
that would have been a cool
right?
thing too. And everyone talks about Athens, Georgia, but they were very much a New York band.
And
like the guitar sounds, everything. They were doing cool dancing,
We were the Deadbeat Club. Cassy, myself, all of our.
I mean, we were just kind of like the misfits.
We were
the
Denny's.
They're the Deadbeat Club. Yeah, I love it.
That's
Man,
your crew.
It was Lions. It was Lions.
If I get a
We'd always
time
go to
machine,
Lions.
take the time machine, go back to high school with you girls. That would have been
Go
awesome.
hang out at the Denny's with them and be like, who's this
Yeah,
guy?
like okay, so
they're
like 19. I'm like, yo.
I have to give a shout out to my good friend Scott Zanassi, who I mentioned in the Idols episode because he introduced me to this band Shame that kind of and got me introduced into Idols. And like so everything was outside. Like our lockers were in like rows outside and it was covered. And then you went into class inside, But my locker didn't lock.
So
my locker didn't lock, so
Classrooms are indoors.
He would go to, I don't remember what the record store was there, but he would go.
Watts Music.
He would go, I don't think maybe.
It's Watts.
He would go and he would steal me cassettes. Like he would 5-finger discount me cassettes and leave them in my locker, just like whatever.
Good man.
And like,
I don't think I've ever stolen anything.
That was the only thing I've ever stolen and got busted.
Really?
It was a John Coltrane
Man, well that's
tape.
that's good. That's good.
The only thing he's ever stolen was a John Coltrane.
I know they kind of laughed at me.
That's so
they're like, are you kidding me?
And then the other thing with our high school, it was like we would go up into the hills and get drunk.
Oh yeah.
And that's what we would do.
Or you do like Boone's Farm. You could
Well,
like
I think everyone in high school did that, Joanna.
Yeah.
I didn't have
Just wasn't
mountains,
in the
but we
hills.
did it in baseball diamonds.
Sure.
We did it in parks.
but we did it in the mountains, in the redwoods, and at the beach.
They called
And
them.
at the
They
beach.
called them keg
And
parties.
I'm jealous.
we did.
Keggers.
We had keggers, but they
Deadbeat
were
Club.
But they were on the beach.
Yeah, we had them on the beach.
We did have them on the beach.
Man, I'm
And
so
did you have a
glad.
fire?
Sometimes,
Very
yeah.
Karate Kid-esque now.
Yeah.
Now you've heard more
Were
pump
there
the
guys in
Now
like
you-
skeleton
Yeah.
costumes?
Now,
and,
you,
like,
you went from Pretty in Pink to
Beating
Pump Up the
people.
Volume to Karate Kid in
It
like
was
2 minutes.
all of that.
It was all
Man,
of that.
it's so
The
awesome.
California high school.
It was
I,
really. Northern California is a completely
Was
different
unique
state than
than
Southern
Southern.
California.
Oh, totally.
It's a
Night and day.
it's
Man, I want to give shout out to these Australian men.
These Australian
wonderful. Like, I
men.
mean, what a great band. What a great album.
Underrated band, I think.
Yeah, totally.
That people lump in with pop music.
Very true.
But I
Yeah.
think that they.
But the thing is, they
are
really.
amazing
One of the things I
musicians.
read.
They're almost like too successful for their own good.
That's what I was gonna say because I'm a nerd when it comes to perfect songs, and it's not on this album. But "Don't Change" might be the most perfect song ever written.
It's
So I mean, like
incredible.
so these guys broke maybe the perfect pop song ever
I mean, for
written.
sure,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure. That
So
if I was
song
in a
is
band that had
incredible.
written any of these songs,
I mean-
I would have been like, well, that's
done.
all.
I mean, yeah, right.
done here, yeah.
I'm good.
It's like
Boom.
no, seriously, it's just and they
I'm glad I
didn't-
remembered Don't Change.
It wasn't
That's a
just
great
pop.
one.
They somehow managed to meld the pop with the rock, with the
jazz,
funk,
yeah,
and because they had a lot of
It's
like
a
it's
ching,
like
yeah, like the ching,
I mean,
ching, ching,
and
ching,
so
ching.
they were really doing something new. I do think that. For the 80s, some of this is the production. So it definitely has the 80s production,
Yeah.
which back
Some of it's a
then
little bit too
was
much.
fantastic. But, not all 80s production, like, it's like...
It was a strange time.
It was a very strange time, but they really were... They were outside of the box and ahead of the time for, like, what they were doing,
Sure.
combining all the genres. And that's...
What a beautiful band. What a beautiful record. Joanna's awesome.
Joanna
Thank you
is
so
awesome.
much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
Thank you for
stoked.
being part of our 50th episode.
You are the
I
50th episode.
was
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go
excited.
kick.
Because I'm going to be 15. I can
Because she's
Yeah.
happy birthday, Joanna.
Fucking jerk.
Yeah.
We're done.
What a good way to end it. What's going on? Let me kick it. All right. Cheers, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, Joanna.